To understand Vidura and to see how it's relatable, we have to step into his shoes. Vidur was born to a maiden, and his father was Vedavyas, so he had two brothers, Dhritarashtra and Pandav. Because of that, he belonged to a specific caste of people which is called Sutta or Kshata. These were people who were very close to Kshatriyas. They were mostly advisors, and in many cases they were even stepbrothers. This particular caste, including Vidur, had one really big sorrow to carry. Suttas could never become a Kshatriya's equals. Now, in that case, in the case of Vidur, he was definitely, undoubtedly, much more qualified for the throne than Dhritarashtra or Pandu. He had certain wisdom that none of the brothers had, and because of that, he would be a great king. But what I adore in Vidur is acceptance. He fully accepted and embraced his role in society. And that really allowed him to have a certain peace of mind because he did not chase something that does not belong to him. If you put yourself in his shoes, he was constantly advising brother who in most cases did not listen, which was less intelligent and less qualified for a throne. Vidur never allowed himself, not even mentally, to go into a space of, I would do this better. He never did this. And this is why Vidur was so great, because he knew his place. He fully accepted and embraced his place in society and really lived just from there. He used all of his intelligence and all of his wisdom to actually advise Dhritarashtra to make things better. He never wanted to become a king. He never even think, oh, I would be a better king. Mentality of grass is always greener on the other side. It didn't exist for him. He fully accepted his position and his role and his duty in society. In verse 3, chapter 35 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, it's better to do your own duty imperfectly than duty of others perfectly. And when I hear this verse, when I remember this verse, I remember of Vidura. He was embodiment of this verse. When I ask myself why is it that he had such an amount of acceptance to be able to navigate his life with such an excellency, I came to one conclusion. And the answer is sadhana, spiritual practices. If you read Mahabharata especially, you will find out that he did a lot of meditation, he did a lot of worshipping, and in my opinion, because of that, he gained perspective. He understood that it's not about outside, it's about inside, and this is why that's why he had such a level of acceptance, because he understood that outside reality is passing by. What it really matters is inside reality. It matters if we are able to build relationship with God, because that's something that it will never change. This is where his level of detachment comes from sadhana, from spiritual practices, because he moved himself from the outside to inside, and he started to slowly realize who he really is. Now on the other side, we have Karna, which was the same caste. He was Sutta. Karna was undoubtedly great warrior in Mahabharata. He was one of the best. And in fact, he had a lot of similar qualities than Vidur. But he had one flaw which I believe that really made him failed, because his life was miserable. Karna's life was very hard and very miserable, and most of his life he was in the victim mentality. Let me give you an example. When Karna was 20 years old, he entered the stadium where there was Pandavas and Kauravas, Dronacharya, the whole city was there, when Pandavas and Kauravas displayed their skill in the end of the education with Dronacharya. Now enters Karna, 20 years old. First, he's 20 years old. Pandavas are 16. And this is the age where it's really big gap. Because when you're 16, you're a teenager. When you're 20, you're a man. So this was first thing. And then he walks in, he proclaims that he's the best, he absolutely proves his skill, but what he gets is humiliation. And of course, Karna lives with this anger because he wants to be somebody that he's not, and he's not recognized by society. And on the other hand, Vidura is not bothered at all. What was it that it brought Karna so far that he couldn't even, in the beginning of the war, when Kunti told him that he is her son, even Krishna told him to join Pandavas, he couldn't. Because of all of these complexes and non-acceptance towards life, rebellious mind and victim mentality that he had, it just disabled him to really go and fulfill his purpose. On the other hand, Vidur, although looking down upon, he was very dharmic, he influenced society, he lived wonderful life, he spent his life in contemplation, in meditation, and he absolutely had this wonderful quality which is acceptance. He lived his life fully, and because of that acceptance he could give back to society, and that's something that Karma could never did. Now what we can learn is that sadhana or spiritual practices is the thing that gives us perspective. And once we have perspective, we have detachment, we can navigate through life better. And once we accept our life circumstances that we cannot change because that's how it is, and we start to respect it, and we start to respect our duty, we start to respect duty of others, then we can really grow, then we can really develop our character just like Vidur. If we are on the other hand like Karna, who undoubtedly has skills, has good qualities, but constantly needs to prove something, constantly looking for approval, then we cannot be happy, because contentment is something that Vidur was very familiar with. On the other hand, Karna wasn't. He didn't understand what life is about, and that's why he could not have enough peace of mind to actually gain perspective. If we are constantly victim, if we are going into mental space of victimhood and think that life is just unfair, this is exactly what life will be. It's going to be unfair and we will constantly rebel. If we have acceptance, just like Vidura had, no matter what comes and no matter of life circumstances, remember Vidura was Sutta. That means that he was mostly looking down upon. And even though Dhritarashtra was his brother, he many times disrespect him just because of the caste. And it didn't touch Vidura. Yes, he had his sorrows, but he was carrying them with excellency. If you like this video, please click like, share it with your friends, and of course, please let me know who would be the next character or even instances in Mahabharata so we can analyze it together. Please let me know in the comments below. Jai Gurudev.